In this demo, I'm going to introduce another useful built-in Node module. Here is our task. On the server side, once we get a request from the client side, we're going to get the query string, if you still remember what a query string is, from the request URL, take out parameter name, and write its value back to client. In Node, request.url will return you the string. For example, localhost 8888 / so on and so forth. And of course, you can use your JavaScript skills, for example, regular expressions, to find where the question mark is and retrieve a parameter with name. But Node.js provides a built-in Node module. It's a very useful one that can help you do this, can simplify this. It is called URL. Before we use the module, remember the first step is you have to import it using require. Okay, so we have var URL require, and here the name is called URL. That's the name of the module. So once we import it in, then we can use URL. So here's how we use it. So var params, so there may be more than one parameters in the query string, is equal to URL dot parse. So that's one important method, parse. We're going to parse request dot URL. So the first argument is the input request URL. Now we have to make it true because by default it is false. Okay, dot query. So this one returns all the parameters. We only want one parameter called name. And remember, we're going to write it back. So here is response dot write. Okay, called name params dot name. Okay, so if there's no parameter called name, then this will be undefined, right? Okay, so let me launch this. Node 06. Now this time we're listening to 8888. Now this time I'm going to Google Chrome and type localhost or 127.0.0.0, doesn't matter. 8888. So I'm going to put some query strings. For example, name equal to Harry. Also, we're going to have more. Gender equal to M. So once I press return, the server side retrieves my query string and find the parameter name and return Harry to me, to the front end. Using Node, we can write JavaScript code to interact with the file system, just like what we did in Java or C++. Node.js has a built-in module called FS, or file system, and we can use that to interact with the file system. So let's go to VS Code, and I will show a demo. First, let's create a module. Let's call this 07. In this module, we're going to read file. In order to use module FS, first we have to require it or import it. Const fs equal to require fs. After this, we're going to use the APIs provided by FS. And in this module, we're going to use fs.read file. Read file requires 3 arguments. The first one is the path of the file. Now in this case, we're going to read 01 hello world.js. The second argument is optional, but here I'm going to put encoding, UTF-8. The third argument is a callback function. It is executed once the file is successfully opened. And this function accepts 2 arguments. The first one is called arrow, because there is a possibility that the file does not exist or some error occurs when we open this file and read this file. The second argument is data, or in this case, I would put documentation. So if it's success, then DOC will contain the data. If it's not success, then error will be the error message. Okay, so in this callback function, we're going to first tell if error is null or not. So if error is not null, we're going to throw this error. Else, we're going to console.log the content in this file. Okay, that's it. It's very simple. So down here, I'm going to launch this node 07. We're going to read the content in 01 hello world.js. Press enter. As you can see, all the contents in this file are printed here. Now you know how to read data from a file. Let's talk about how to write data to a file. So we're going to create a new module, 08 write file.js. First, we're going to require module fs. The API that we use to write data to a file is called fs.writeFile. It requires 3 arguments. The first one is the path of the target file. In this case, we're going to write some data to demo.txt under the current directory. It is not there yet. Node will create a new file before we write data to it, if it's not there. The second argument is the data. In this case, we're going to write a string to it. Node.js is awesome. The third argument is a callback function. This function gets called once we're done writing. It can be either success or failure. So if error is not null, we're going to throw this error. Otherwise, we're going to log write success. That's it. So next, I'm going to launch it, node 08. Pay attention to the files under node_js because a new file, demo.txt, will be generated. So when I click demo.txt, it says Node.js is awesome. As you can see, it is so easy to read and write a file. The next useful built-in Node module is called path. The path module provides utilities for working with file and directory path. So let me show you an example in VS Code. Let's create a module called 09.path.js. First, we're going to require this path module. I'm going to show you one API called path.join. You can pass as many arguments as you want to join. The path.join method joins the specified path segments into one path using the platform-specific separators as a delimiter. I'm working on Mac, so we join them using /. So for example, it will join the 3 segments into one path, a valid path on Mac. So I'm going to log it. Node 09, press enter. It shows the 3 segments into one valid Mac path. In Node.js, there is a very special variable. it is called double underscore dir name. Okay, so first let's print it. Underscore underscore and dir name. So this variable actually tells you the path of the current module. In other words, the absolute path of the directory containing the currently executing file. In this case, 09.path.js. So we're going to print it. So this is a directory of 09.path.js. And we can use this variable together with join. Console.log path.join. So the first one is dir name. The second one can be a relative path. For example, 08.writefile.js. So this one gives me the current directory, and we're going to concatenate this with a file under this directory. So it'll give me the absolute path of 08.writefile.js. So here it is.